Hello everyone, you're watching Chapter 17 of my Fire Emblem 6 Hard Mode 0% Girls playthrough. We are your hosts, Don151 and Mekkah.
Hello everyone. So the first interesting thing that we see here is that Shanna gets her inventory loaded by 3 promotion items, the silver card and the Delphi shield. And this is a substantial difference from what we usually see, where Shanna hardly gets used at all. And here she has 5 items, and the Delphi shield in particular is very interesting because it means a couple of things. One of them, she's going to see combat. 2, she's going to see combat against something that she's weak against, like a ballista or a bow user. And 3, she's actually going to survive, which is amazing because her HP and defenses are very, very bad. So this is one thing to look out for in this chapter.
Well, that was some impressive deductive ability on your part, Mekkah. I don't think I could have come up with that myself.
Thank you.
Overall, this chapter is not really that interesting. We have to get Roy to the gate over the top right-hand corner of the map, and in order to do so, we mostly have to fly through a gauntlet of 2 ballistas. And in order to keep our units safe, since we have to fly through them the ranges with units that are weak to them, we essentially have to manipulate them such that they do stupid things.
Yeah, well, making enemies do stupid things is pretty much your specialty, I think, at this point. There's actually 2 ways we could go about this. One of them is the way we're taking, which is through the air, over the water on your right. The other would be just going straight up right from the starting point, going over the land, but that makes you go through a couple of forests and it's longer overall. So instead, we're just carving our own path through the map. There is another way to do it, where you're going a more straight way and you're going over land, but that way is taking way too long, right?
Yes, that way is for lazy casuals. The namesake of this map, the map in Japanese is called The Path Through the Ocean. And if you wait until turn 6, what happens is that a path through the ocean appears, as the chapter title suggests. It connects this piece of land that we're currently going through with the piece of land over at the top of the map. And that's a really easy way to get through the map because there's only one group of enemies there. There's like 4 cavaliers, the paladin, and some guys near the throne. The gate. But aside from that, it's the easiest way. So here we see Shanna making use of her Delphi shield, taking the ballista fire, drawing it away from Tate and Milady, and she survives with 2 HP.
Yeah, that is actually very impressive for someone who joined in Chapter 2 and never really got any increase to her stats. We also saw that a long-range tome at the other side of the ocean, or the body of water, whenever you want to call it, attacked Tate, who has been boosted by barrier staff, I believe, which is probably going to be significant later on when she gets hit more often.
Yes, we have to use a total of 3 barrier staff uses in this chapter because we have to protect Tate from a couple of the magic users in this map. She ends up having to take a significant amount of damage, and Tate's not very good at taking damage. She has to heal with a vulnerary here, and even then, she only has a whole 34 HP and 10 each in her defensive and resistance stats to deal with. There is a bishop with a sleep staff near the boss, and we have to make sure that our units don't get put to sleep, because there's no way that we can get a restore staff user over to that part of the map. So we have to take the necessary precautions by using barrier on Milady and Perceval. Probably the most interesting thing to note in this map is the amount of times that I use the arena, because the arena is located in a very convenient position. And I think Mekkah can probably tell you a bit more about the arena usage in this chapter.
Yeah, so obviously the main reason to use the arena is to get gold. More money means more boots and more handy stuff to buy in general. It also gives units EXP, but that's useless since this is 0% growth. But what it does do is it gives units weapon EXP, and Shin needs that weapon EXP to hit S bows. Right now he's at A rank and little, but we'll get through that in this chapter. What's also happening here is Milady just broke your silver lance, and that was probably intentional.
Yes, because if she breaks her silver lance, she cannot one-round KO that cavalier, and then if she doesn't one-round KO that cavalier, the paladin won't attack her, and she'll end up taking less damage on the enemy phase overall. We don't actually need to kill any of the cavaliers that she faced, except for the very first one. So that's the reason why she queued up the silver lance such that she broke it on enemy phase. Now, there's been a bit of debate in the Fire Emblem community over whether or not the enemies see whether or not flying units have Delphi shields. For example, like, we don't know if they choose to target units that have Delphi shields because they just don't know that they exist. And one sort of detail about the AI that I have to point out regarding Ballista is that, in general, in this game, enemies prefer to attack off their Ballista instead of on them. So, for example, you just saw the archer get off the Ballista and attack Zeiss twice with his iron bow, instead of staying on the Ballista and attacking Shanna with his Ballista, and that would have been a one-hit KO on her because she no longer has a Delphi shield.
Yeah, it's actually pretty significant damage manipulation here. Here's some more manipulation, I guess, or just fate deciding whether Shin actually loses this battle horribly or beats the Nomad Trooper by the skin of his teeth.
Well, if I had Mekkah's powers reduction here, I would have guessed from the beginning that he would have won.
That would probably be accurate because he is alive right now, and otherwise, but it was very close. You can actually hit or miss in the arena pretty easily, and by that I mean it's almost a 50-50 shot sometimes. The reason for this is, as we explained earlier, the arena gives a little bit of a void to both combatants inside, and of course weapon hit isn't the greatest even with the iron weapons that they're using. So that's why it can be a bit of a gamble to play in the arena, but Don Don has planned this out very well, and when I say that, I mean he's practicing his psychic powers.
No, what Mekkah actually means is, because I can view the RNG in this game, and the RNG is entirely predictable, it's very easy to manipulate arena fights by just kind of like burning a certain number of random numbers. And the way in which I burn the random numbers, I seek to have certain kinds of fights. Obviously, I seek a fight that I can win, because if I lose, that's pretty bad. But also for Shin in particular, I want fights that prioritize having a very lengthy round of combat. And by prolonging combat, Shin gets to fire his bow more often, and he gets more weapon EXP every time he goes to the arena. So he gets around like an average of 6 weapon EXP per arena use, and that depends on how many times he misses, pretty much. So I'm going to talk about this enemy phase quickly here. We're positioned very well to kind of minimize our chances of death. Roy just got knocked down to 3 HP, but no one else can finish him off. Tate gets knocked down to 1 HP, and she has to basically dodge either that mage that she just got hit by, or another cavalier. Zeiss can survive this enemy phase with just 1 HP, and all of the cavaliers kind of bunch up such that they can't really hurt anyone.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive to see a lot of units looking close to death, but in reality they're either just one dodge away from surviving, or they're not in danger at all. So it's just another big detailed thing that has to go into planning this playthrough, is making sure everyone survives. And of course it also just looks sensational to see people survive with just 1 HP. Why didn't you just kill the units that are in the way on the enemy phase to begin with?
Well, the units that are in the way are like that mage, so there's no way Tate can kill that mage on enemy phase because she can't double. But it's important that only that mage be in the way, because we can still kill that mage on player phase with Milady, and then we can both clear the path to the gate here for Roy, and have a clear path to the boss with Perceval, so that Perceval can one-round KO him with a Horseslayer. The boss is kind of a special character. He's one of the guys that appeared in Chapter 16, and canonically he's one of the Etrurian advisors who turned bad because he got corrupted by Byrne's influence. But there's no way that we know that from this playthrough, because not only did we skip all the dialogue, it's entirely in Japanese, and, like, you know, who reads dialogue?
I know I don't. I mean, last chapter all I recognized, or in chapter 16 all I recognized was a bunch of numbers in use, recruitment combo, and everything else might as well have been Chinese or Japanese or whatever. So there's no way to know that. Something else that I'm seeing here that we're never really seeing is the actual animations in the arena. Normally animations are off to save us some time, but here we get to see some fancy things like Igrene's lovely pink bow.
Very stylish. I approve.
Yeah. I approve as well.
Yeah, unfortunately her sprite doesn't have lipstick on it, but oh well.
Can't have everything. I mean, at least he's getting money, right? That's all that counts.
Yeah, we have a bit of a engine set up here, so to speak, that optimizes the number of arena uses that we get every turn. And the way that we set this up is basically we have several mounted units that we can use to rescue drop units who have already used the arena, and then we have a couple of healers to heal units who have already used the arena, and then on top of all that we have Lala, who adds an additional action. Or in the case of this turn, because everyone else has already moved, she's going to let Shin have an extra round in the arena. And that's great because that gives more EXP for Shin, and Shin also gets this very good opponent here who doesn't damage him.
Yeah, that bishop is very bad at aiming his lightning. Like, he has a higher chance of hitting than not, and he still manages to miss every time.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say here. Earlier, Shanna stopped by the armory to buy some more Killer Lances, and we delayed our Killer Lance purchases to this chapter because we can buy them here at half price with a silver card discount. She actually bought one too many, but that's not a big deal because if you buy something with a silver card, you can sell it back at the same price. And we don't actually need that many Killer Lances for the rest of the run, because finishing a chapter in fewer turns means that less fighting is needed. So like some players, they go to an armory and they go crazy and buy like 15 Killer Lances. But that wouldn't be necessary if they just played the game a little faster. Well, unfortunately we can't arena grind forever because Roy's Poison Sea is in turn 4. That's a wrap for chapter 17. We will see you next time.
See ya.